everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here is your most awaited video regarding about the Filipino traits and characteristics. And before I proceed, let me first share you some information about values. Values are integral part of every culture. With worldview and personality, they generate behavior. Being part of a culture that shares a common core set of values creates expectations and predictability, without which a culture would disintegrate and its member would lose their personal identity and sense of worth. It also tells people what is good, beneficial, importance, useful, desirable, constructive, or etc. They also answer the questions of why people do what they do. It also helps people solve common problems for survival. Over time, they become the roots of traditions that groups of people find important in their day-to-day lives. The Filipino values may be attributed into many parts, or influences rather. This can be from its ancestors, or influence from its colonizers. Some values are bipolar, meaning it can be positive or negative. So that's why Filipino traits and characteristics were categorized into two, which is the bad and the good. So let us proceed to the good Filipino traits and habits. First is faith in God. We may have different religions in different sectors of our country, but what is consistent is that we all have one strong form of faith. So it means that faith is the basic ingredient to begin a relationship with God. It is the assurance that the things revealed and promised in the words are true, even though unseen, and this gives the believer a conviction that what he expects in faith will come to pass. Second good trait is the close family ties. We enjoy the feeling of having and knowing family members are around us. From our cousins, aunties, uncles, and grandparents. Also, some families share their homes, celebrate holidays, and lend a hand to relatives when it is needed. It is also one of the value that results to extended family structure. Why? It's because Filipinos believe that families should stick together and help each other out. Family and relatives do as much as they can just to support each other through good and bad times. Third good trait or positive trait is welcoming visitors. When we have people visit our homes, we always welcome them with smiles, conversations, and food. We welcome them in an enthusiastic way because it is a good start. We give our attention to them. We show genuine interest, anticipate their needs, greet them as soon as they enter, offer them a seat, and offer them coffee, tea, or water because they will accept what is being offered to them as long as we treat them comfortably. And also, in welcoming visitors, we should make special requests to make their stay more comfortable. Fourth positive trait is that obedient and dutiful. Filipinos are obedient and dutiful. In our culture, we always respect and follow what our parents and adults advise us to do. Not talking back and trusting the adults around us was always been a big part of who we are. We Filipinos obey commands to the adults and shows good behavior just to comply the certain needs of the adults. Fifth one is the Filipinos are respectful. Filipinos used these simple catchphrases, po and opo words. that end sentences when addressing elders. So, from the mano to saying po and opo to our elders, these words are already part of our language that shows how we really respect people. 6 positive traits or good traits is Filipinos is helpful. Filipinos help one another without expecting anything in return. So as you can see in the right side, there is a picture showing bayanihan. Bayanihan is a spirit in us. That is why in times of calamities or disasters, Filipinos are mostly helpful to one another. We tend to render services or assistance in every way. Next is diligent and patient. So Filipinos are hardworking people, wherein diligent people includes punctuality, self-motivation, and perseverance without complaining. It demonstrates an eagerness to learn new things in order to improve the personal skill sets. Other positive traits or good habits or characteristics of Filipinos are resourceful and creative. Resourcefulness is defined as the ability and creativity to cope with difficulties. So this is one of the Filipino traits that we are proud of, where we are known to be talented and highly creative. When we are facing with a dire situation, our automatic response is to find ways to get out of it. So during the times when we don't have the means to accomplish something, we find ingenious ways of using what we have just to solve our problems. Second to the last positive traits or good characteristics of Filipino is being cheerful. Filipinos brings joy, humor, or good spirits. And in these characteristics, I think Filipinos are always happy. It's because it is our culture and tradition. As we grow, we are taught that life is very simple to be happy. Every little things that we have and receive, we truly appreciate it. Even though we are not rich or we don't have abundant food to eat every day, but we are still happy. Life is pretty simple in the Philippines, so everything you have would make you happy, especially having a complete family at home, and it is a great treasure to have all our family members. We Filipinos, we've been through a lot of trials, and because of it, Filipinos have learned not to be depressed. Rather, we find a joke and try to have fun even during times of difficulties. That's how Filipinos are. Last good characteristics of Filipino is that thrifty and frugal. Filipinos are smart about money and is frugal, but not to the point of undue sacrifices. We use money and other resources carefully and not wastefully. We Filipinos man good. We don't like to waste anything since we don't have enough money to sustain our needs or to get what we want. We don't have a lot. We are careful of what we have, knowing that it will serve us well for a long time. Since I am done sharing you about information regarding with the good Filipino characters and traits, let us now proceed. What are the bad Filipino characters and traits? So first is we have the ningas kugon. So Filipinos start to something eagerly but lose momentum and don't tend to finish or reach long-term goals. In this case, Filipinos literally has this kind of attitude. When we start something with interest and enthusiasm, then after a very short time, we lose interest and stop whatever it is we are doing. So we usually leave things incomplete and neglect the task that we are doing. Next is mañana habit. So it means mamayana in Filipino, or to do a certain thing in a later time. So sometimes Filipinos would like to put off doing things until it is too late. So example are fixing what needs to be fixed or saving money for future expenditures. Mañana habit is literally considered a bad Filipino practice. Why? It's because this can certainly affect the mood, decision power, and most of all, this is a dangerous once this becomes a habit. Next is the crab mentality. So Filipino tend to possess this mentality, especially when they feel insecure. Actually, Filipinos sometimes get jealous of other people's successes, in which they find a way to pull that person down rather than striving to be better. So in a way, that crab mentality promotes an unhealthy competition. So instead of doing things that could help to develop or help one another to develop and become better than his competitors, Filipinos devote so much of their time gossiping and backbiting. Next is colonial mentality. Colonial mentality is a term used widely by ethnic studies scholars and by the Filipino American community to refer to a form of internalized oppression among Filipinos and Filipino Americans. So this corresponds with the belief that the cultural values of the colonizers are inherently superior to one's own. So if something is made in America or of a foreign brand, we think it is of greater quality. So we buy foreign products more than we would buy locally made products. Next is bahala na. Bahala na trait was characterized by retreating or withdrawal from certain undertaking and leaving everything to God to interfere and determine the outcome of his deeds. This kind of attitude is also found in Filipino, wherein when helpless, we tend not to act to solve our problems. We usually don't plan ahead or plan for contingencies. Instead of covering all our bases, we simply let the fates dictate what will happen. Next is core losers. Many times, Filipino become very competitive and hate losing at times. When we lose, we find a way to get even. For instance, playing or competing in a game. Usually, we Filipinos becomes very upset or angry when we lose even in a fair competition. We tend to whine about it on a constant basis. We blaming everyone around them for their loss except themselves. Last negative trait is the lack of discipline. In Philippines, pollution, traffic rules, and following the law are things Filipinos tend to ignore. We like to sell our wares on the streets, beat the red light, and throw our garbage in the wrong places. So let's have the throwing garbage in the wrong places. In throwing garbage anywhere, we don't mind what will be the causes and effects of that certain circumstance. Throwing garbage all over the places, it will not only dirty our surroundings and pollute the environment, it also makes it very unhygienic because it causes bad odors and encourages the infestation of cockroaches, flies, and other insects. And in this kinds of situation, we don't have self-discipline because we rather do the things that could possibly lead to some circumstances or harm us. This is because we have not made a connection between how we spend our time and what matters most to us in life. So in coping this, we need to decide what matters most to us and what are the possible outcomes of doing that or showing that habit. Well, I do hope you learned something from it, and that's all we have for today's video. Thank you for watching.